What's going on out there in the fifth dimension of Twilight Zone podcast world? For the video version of this episode, unfortunately, I recorded to the cloud instead of to my computer, so it's going to be a little bit different. I won't have all three of us at the same time, but it will be kind of going back and forth between each person. So if it doesn't feel as right as the other episodes, that's the reason why. That was my own fault. I was very tired. Just be aware of that. When we go into like the rankings list, it'll be a little bit different as well. So just be aware. It's just for this week. The next week and so on and so forth will be the regular version of the video podcast. So for this week, it's a little bit different, but maybe it'll work. I don't know. So just give you a heads up. And once again, thank you so much for watching as usual. So let's get started.
There is a fifth dimension.
A dimension of sound.
Damn it, Frank. We tell him to be quiet. I spilled my hot cup of Uranus again.
A dimension of sight.
Hey, Arch, I'm gonna sock you in the puss.
A dimension of mind.
Man, Adams, is that you?
Next stop, the Twilight Zone.
Tonight, tonight.
All right. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how you guys doing? How's life in the Twilight Zone?
Man, this new intro, I'm not used to.
Yeah, it's kind of
Yeah,
catching me
you're
off
not
guard
used to
too.
It's our laid back intro. We gotta be laid back when we talk about this new episode. I'm telling
Hey
you
guys,
what.
how you doing?
Yeah,
chilling.
I don't know.
So do I need to be like this?
Yeah.
What?
Strong arm.
What? Yeah, strong arm. It's so weird when that happens. When you do that,
Like this?
it's just like one arm's for one thing and one arm's for the other, and two shall not twain. Is that how that works?
That's always the hope.
Yeah, right.
Woo!
Guys, we're back to talk about Rod Serling episode. That's Twilight Zone,
Yay.
where we, talk about our favorite Führers and dictators and
Dictaphones.
our dictaphones and guys who are born to be wild and want to commit murder and it's good times. How about y'all?
Genocide.
Yeah, genocide, world's favorite expression. And this is gonna be an interesting episode to talk about. This is maybe the most prevalent Prussian episode that we can talk about in the state of America today. It's almost like Ross only knew what was coming. I don't know. I mean, I could be talking out my ass like Ace Ventura or something. So we'll talk about that. So, anyways, we have some news, guys. Triv, do we have some news? Triv is now officially a piece of corn. No,
What?
Jacob.
Oh yeah,
what?
that's awesome news.
I have news.
Yeah,
Do I?
Woohoo.
Yeah, I have news. Well,
Yeah,
what news do
Jacob's
I
now
have?
officially. He's now a 1K baby.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. He's like, you already forgot what. Yeah, you forgot.
I remember that, but I didn't know that. Yeah. I forgot that.
Yeah, hit 1K on his channel. Even though it's funny, it's like you hit 1K on your channel before the last video post, for the last episode posted. So it's like we're like a week and a half ahead of when this episode posts will be like a week and a half ago that it happened. So congratulations, a week and a half ago.
I think it was the day before it posted. A day or two before it posted that I hit that.
I don't know. We were supposed to record. I'm like, oh man. So it's gonna be like 2 weeks before Jacob gets a congratulations from us. But it'll be like this. It'll be like the same week or something like that. So, anyways, congratulations, Jacob.
Thank you. I mean, my channel is doing actually pretty well right now. I don't know why, because I haven't released anything
Dude,
in a
well,
while.
you've got good stuff that draws people in, and they come back for more. Take it for what it is, and
I'm
that's
not
awesome.
complaining because
No, I know.
after I hit 1K, it kept on going up. I mean, I'm still earning subscribers. I'm feverishly working on finishing up my next video right now because I'm like, I need to capitalize on this. All these people I'm getting engagement. Let me put something else out. So new video coming soon.
And what that video will be, we won't tell you.
I'm hoping it'll be out
Because
next week.
this is Twilight Zone.
Yay!
So actually, by the time this airs, I'm hoping it should be coming soon, like real soon at that point. But yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
We're excited for you,
So-
man. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, in all honesty, yeah, it's pretty cool. This is like your second channel's done this, so it shows that people care about you, Jacob. They may want you to shoot him with a gun eventually, but they care about you just the same.
Shoot him with a gun.
Yeah. They're gonna be like they're gonna rise up and because of your your insanity and craziness and
I'll get them erect.
exactly.
I mean,
You get
if
them
it
erect.
helps, and shooting could take many forms, really. I mean, if you want
Oh
to look
yeah.
at it that way.
Yeah.
I mean, we
Just
are
get out
filming the
your
day before Valentine's Day, so.
I know. Just get your
Hey,
Nintendo duck hunting gun. Go sh- yeah,
yeah, I got
shoot
one
at
of
the
those.
screen.
I got one of those.
Yeah. You can pull out the power glove and shoot people with it. I don't know.
I got one of those
Man.
too.
Exactly. So anyways, go to Jacob's channel and retro Jexy. Is that how we say it? Jexy?
No, Retro Jake XY. Retro Jake was taken. But I got asked that on a live stream the other day. I was on somebody's live stream. I wasn't on. I was talking to him, and they were like, "Did you do that because you're a man?" And I was like, "I mean, not because. I just had to pick something to put at the end because Retro Jake was taken. So it was either that or 69. 69's played out.
420, man. 69
Gonna
Long Ripper
dudes.
420. Yeah.
You're retro Jake 666,
Yeah, 666, 69, 420, all that, just thought I'd do something
I
a little
just when you first put that up, I thought it was
like
legitimately like
Jakesy.
retro Jexy.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah,
Like
Jakesy.
like playoff sexy is Jexy.
He's too Jexy for his pants. Too Jexy for his pants.
I'm too
So
Jakesy for this
sexy.
channel. Too Jakesy for this. Too
Oh
Jakesy,
shit.
man. First video I ever put on
Uh,
YouTube has that song on it.
is it
Nice.
really?
Mm-hmm. Is it?
Nice.
I don't know. I have to look. I don't even know if it's public. It may have gotten. I know it got copywritten, but that was like I don't even know that it was copyright. If that's what they called it. It got taken down or blocked or whatever. But I think eventually they let it go.
That video was the Northmen, shirtless Northmen. You
That was
just
an animation video I made. I actually made the video around like 99 or 2000 in Paint, MS
Nice.
Paint, and
It is the
nice.
place to do it.
I uploaded it to YouTube years later. So I didn't even know what I was doing. I think I was trying to put it on MySpace.
And
And
it
I had
ended
to
up
put
on
it on
YouTube.
I had to put it on YouTube to put it on MySpace, I think is what it was, or
Ah.
something like that. I don't know. I didn't know what I was doing. But it's on there.
I mean, to be fair, do we any of us know what we're doing now? We
Hell
just
no.
we just kind of wing it.
I probably got a little bit better idea than I used to, but no, not really.
Shit. You know who had an idea of what he was doing? Fucking Rod Serling, man. This episode, which is of course season 4, episode 4, He's Alive, directed by Stuart Rosenberg, written by Rod Serling, production code 4856, air date January 24th. Of course, stars Dennis Hopper, Ludwig Donath, Kurt Conway, Paul Mazursky, Howard Kane, and Barnaby Hale. Yeah, so
This was actually
th-
Dennis Hopper's one of his breakout roles.
I
He
can
was very
see.
young.
I can see why. Yeah, he's
Yeah,
very good in this episode. It's
he is.
almost scary how I don't we'll get into the details of how it feels, especially today's day and age. But this might be the first episode that I felt that needed the hour-long length. That needed I don't know how you guys feel, but I feel this is I don't know if I would put this in my top 20, but this is definitely a episode that I'll remember for quite a while. Maybe it's my views on how the world is working right now that this episode feels more in line. But yeah, so this episode deals with neo-Nazism. I don't know this. I'm sitting here watching this episode going, fuck me. This is shit that's just never gonna end. And I don't know. What do you guys think going into this episode? I mean, I don't remember this episode at all. And then I started watching it, I'm like, oh, it's that episode. And what about you guys?
I mean, I think I agree that it is quite timely for now. But I think when you're living through an era, it's easy to look at a lot of the Twilight Zone stuff and say, wow, this is really hits now. You know, these things for as much as we say,
Well,
we need to
everything's
learn from
cylindrical,
history.
apparently.
Oh, well, no,
Everything's
100%. I
yeah.
mean, the pendulum goes back and forth, it's people don't, for as much as people change, people don't change. This stuff, whether you're talking about the 60s or the 90s or now, these human nature is still human nature. And at one point, and I don't remember if it's in the prologue or where it is, but Serling says that ideas are like bullets, they kind of stick around. And that, I mean, this is an idea that before Nazism under a different name during that time and now those things exist.
Yup.
What?
Oh, yeah,
What's
Jacob's-
funny?
People
Yep.
gonna hate.
No,
What's
I,
funny?
I I was laughing. I was laughing at what Jacob sees. Like, yep, yep. I wasn't laughing at you. I was just laughing at the fact that Jacob's like, yeah, this is kind of how it is. No, I mean, in all honesty,
There's gonna be
like,
dumbasses every. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's always gonna be there. There always has been. There always will be, and there always are people with dumbasses that have different ideologies than other people. I guess. I don't
I do.
agree
Oh,
with
sorry.
any of these ideologies. I mean, hey, it's America, so you can believe what you want as long as you ain't hurting nobody. But I just it's not for me. But yeah, they're still around. I mean, is it as I don't want to get into like current day by any means, but is it as prevalent as some would have you think? I mean, that's a discussion for another podcast, I think. But yeah, there's gonna be fucking idiots every generation. People that look back. You want to know what's funny? And it does tie back to this. Because I was thinking, I was watching this episode, and I was like, man, this is only like 20, not even a full 20 years removed from when this was really happening. It was still
Yeah.
pretty topical. And I was like, damn, I'm surprised that like people were out in the streets, to a degree, doing this kind of thing then. I mean, I know this is a show, but it's based, that ideal is based on reality. It's like I'm really surprised that, I just figured it would take a little bit longer. It usually takes people a bit longer to forget how things were. Like nowadays, I don't agree with it, but I get it because I'm like, you guys just don't know. You're like sitting here, you're fucking idiots. You're preaching about something that, people that would live through that would never do that. But then I think about like some of the things that people do now for like things that just happened 20 years ago, like around 9/11 and stuff like
Oh,
that,
yeah.
and how people react to it now. And I'm like, well, no, I guess people are just really that fucking stupid. It doesn't take any time at all for people to forget how
it's
something
a
really
sheep
is.
mentality, is what it is. Like one
And
person says something, then like 14 other people agree with it, then it just kind of like rolls downhill. And
I would also add that it is something that we as people, it's easy to forget things. Like you're not in that, because I mean, I could look back and tell you with 9/11 how I felt, where I was, all of that stuff.
Yeah.
But and just generally people, I think a lot of folks that were of age, in an age where they knew what was going on, could tell you those exact same things, and yet would espouse a lot of the things that were done right after 9/11, or that mentality that we had pre 9/11 people kind of go back to, because we can't stay in that crisis mode. You have to get back to what is comfortable, or what or
But yeah, but I
look at
mean,
COVID.
you hear people talking shit about like that period. 9/11
yeah.
was like the big thing for our generation. I mean, we had like Desert Storm and all that, but really that was the one that was in our face.
yeah.
And so you like look at people now like talking shit about 9/11, and I'm just like, shut the fuck up. You don't know what you're talking about,
Oh,
you
no,
know?
I
And
agree. Well, look at
and-
COVID. It's kind of that same thing. It's however you feel about the way that COVID stuff was handled.
yeah.
I mean, you could say a lot of things that people on both sides of it, people kind of forgot how things were.
I think a lot
Well,
of
I
it
mean,
too
this
was
is
that the people you hear talking about like I keep saying 9/11 because that's the closest thing is
Well, no,
I think some
absolutely.
of them either A weren't alive then or so young they don't remember it. The people that you do see talking, and I think that's this guy here, Dennis Hopper's character. I don't know exactly how old he's supposed to be, but I think he's supposed to be fairly young. He may have been
yeah, like
alive
he's
during
in
the
his
time.
20s. He's technically he
Yeah.
looks like he's about in his 20s. I think is
Yeah.
what 20, early 20s or
He was
late
probably
20s or whatever.
born around the time that World War II was wrapping up or going on.
Yeah.
He was probably very small when it was happening, so he didn't like experience that. So he gets, for whatever reason, wrapped up in this horse shit. And I don't know. I just think the people that go through those kind of things are look at it differently than those that didn't.
Oh, yeah.
They just hear about it and follow some type of like rhetoric and some nowadays some type of bullshit online conspiracy or something.
Yeah. And that's
Yeah.
prevalent. There's a lot of that. So
Yeah, and the same thing back then. They didn't have online, but they still
it
had
still
idiots.
existed. Yeah, well, it moves, but the existence of those kinds of things. I mean, whether you're talking conspiracy theories or anything else, they've existed as long as people have existed.
It's
Mhm.
just it's funny when you watch an episode like this because you see it pretty much in everyday respect. And it's interesting because there's also a lot of Rod Serling talking about how people just they like you said, they forget what they're, forget like how bad it got and how crazy it got. And it's just I think there's this mentality of laziness in America. The stuff like you can see it today with what happened 9/11, or you can see it today with what happened in COVID, where it only takes a few years before people just don't care anymore. And it really is sad, because if people honestly sat down, instead of, for instance, electing the party that they fall into, and actually looking at the serious problems. And it's the same thing, like, people jumping and blaming like Muslim people in 9/11, or blaming the Chinese people and, the COVID situation. It's just this is a stigma that, once again, can go back it can go back as far as you can think. And it's crazy that it only takes one small idea for a whole group of people to just kind of fall into place and have that sheep mentality. And that's what I think Dennis Hopper's character of Pete is representing, is just the fact that this guy got a small idea and it kind of started blowing up, and he became more and more disillusioned. And that's kind of what this idea is of hate and, all that stuff, is the disillusionment of your reality and of who people are. And it's an interesting episode, I guess, is the easiest way to put it.
I would
I
say,
think-
and
I
I
think-
oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think that when we get to the closing narration, did pretty much says it best. Kind of
Yeah.
like, this phantom from another time. Where is it going next? And it's not even necessarily talking specifically about the quote unquote phantom in this episode, just the mindset and the kind of parasitic mindset of hate. Where is it going? It's everywhere. It's going to be everywhere.
Yeah.
It's not going to go away, because it's a part of human beings. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, people could say, "Oh, we're going to get rid of it." You're not. We can stop a lot of it, sure, and bring more awareness to people and things like that. But there will always, among the animal that is a human being, there will always be hate for other human beings somewhere in there.
I found it interesting, and I know we're not to that point yet, but like when they kind of talk about Pete's past and kind of that, that disillusioned hopeless guy that was kind of downtrodden and such, they look for anything that can give them some kind of representation. And I think that happens to a lot of people over the course of time. I mean, I love the fact that Serling put that in there. And I don't think it's a thing to feel sorry for the person, because there's a lot of people that go through those kind of things and don't fall down those rabbit holes. But the fact that they showed he wasn't just some bastard that just, came up out of nothing. He did have, that kind of base where he needed something to latch onto, and this provided a community that he was in a lot of ways lacking.
You find that a lot in a
Yeah.
lot of the people. I mean, in like gangs and stuff like that, like inner city gangs and things like that.
Oh,
You
yeah.
find that a lot with the people that are in those. You hear about how, oh, they didn't have a family, or they didn't have like a stable family or anything, so they look for the community within like a gang and things like that. You see that like a whole lot. Like, oh, I didn't have anybody else. I didn't have any family. They were my family, or they were something. This guy, he didn't have anybody. He didn't have anything. He was looking for something. He found something that accepted him, and he just went all in on it, and then became this.
Yeah, because like the way it sounds, like his mother she almost had like dementia or something like that, and his father was
His father
like,
was just a
died.
bastard.
Yeah,
But
it
the
was
thing is,
like
he
a
did have a
alcoholic,
person
abusive or
that
something.
cared. He did have a person that cared about him, but that kind of got overshadowed by all the rest of this stuff. So
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm
He
gonna
found
ask.
purpose in something.
yeah,
Wasn't a good purpose,
Yeah.
but found purpose.
yeah.
Well, that's an interesting thing I got to ask you guys about, is this guy Ernst, who I think is played by Ludwig Donath. I think it is. Yeah, Donath. He's Jewish. That's an interesting. What do you guys think about the fact that we have this neo-Nazi guy who was actually technically, in all honesty, raised by a Jewish guy that tried to instill all these kind of like logical reasonings and trying to become an adult and using your purpose to try to do good, and here he falls into a neo-Nazi camp. And I mean, what do you guys think about that? That simple fact that this guy who raised him is a Jewish guy. which is a really fascinating thing for Rod Serling to do for an episode.
I think it definitely provides a nice juxtaposition, but there's always that thing about like, you know, he could look at his surrogate father and basically say, well, you're okay, but all the rest of your kind are total assholes. You
Yeah.
could also take it from the perspective of you. It's like when you have people that care about you and you kind of become blind to that. Like it's easy to look past that and to see, oh, well, it's them. They're the issue, and kind of forget about the people that are closest to you. Or, it's like when you look at any family, the ones that you're most likely
Mm.
to be the hardest on are the ones you're closest to, or the ones that
Well, the reason I'm asking because, like, for instance, if he hadn't known somebody who was of the Jewish faith or whatever Jewish society, like, it's the idea, the simple fact of like, would it have been more effective? Is it more effective to have somebody who is basically what, since he's a neo-Nazi, he's a Bush League Fuhrer and stuff like that, is considered kind of the enemy to his movement. So if he didn't have anybody of that nature, would it have not hit as hard for the episode? That's what I'm curious about, like what you guys think. Because I mean, you can say, well, it's the people who raise them, stuff like that, and all that good stuff. I'm just saying, like, it's interesting to throw that into the mix of who raised him and stuff like that. I don't know. It's really interesting to think if it was just another, atypical white person who was of like, his faith, like a Christian faith or something like that. But no, they threw somebody who was of Jewish descent into the mix. I don't know.
I don't think it would have not hit as hard with like what it was trying to say, but I think that did add, especially for it being an hour long episode. I think that did add a certain level of that added an interesting level, that's for sure, to the whole thing and to his character. I think it added more to his character, like when he was sitting there and the guy showed up and he was talking to him at the rally or whatever it was, and he was calling him out, and you could tell he didn't want to say anything to him. He's like, "John, just don't do this right now. Don't do this because you're not one of them. You're one of them, but you're one of the good ones."
Right.
You know what I mean? So he was like, I think that made the character more interesting. Had they not had that whole relationship in it, I think that hour probably would have been a lot longer.
Yeah.
Right.
But I
I
mean,
would
the
say too.
overall story, the overall basic point story that they were trying to make with the episode, I don't think it necessarily added to that, but I do think it added to the episode. But I mean, had they made this a 30-minute or 24-minute episode, I don't think that subplot would have really been in there.
I would add that a lot of times and I'm drawing a blank, so forgive me. I know that there are examples out there, but like the idea of someone rebelling against, like, so they're raised by someone that's kind of the antithesis of what they are. So like you might have a prince that has a mentor that's a peasant or whatever it might be. That's kind of, I mean, from what I remember, that's kind of a classic story tale piece,
Oh, kids.
to kind of get this side, like, a different
Mm.
perspective on things.
Yeah.
Do I make
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah.
They go against whatever
This
you are just because.
Yeah.
right. If there were ever an episode I'd want to talk to Rod Serling about, it'd either be this or Death Has Revisited, just on the simple fact of like he went through this war, the war of Nazism and stuff like that, and you can really tell that an episode like this really kind of was important to him to tell. Because I mean, to be fair, there isn't really a lot of Twilight Zone-y things in this episode outside of like the Man in the Shadows, which is very you can literally figure out who it is by within like 10 seconds of the actual character.
Who was it?
It was it was
It was
it
Gobbles.
was
Wilford Brimley.
Goebbels. Yeah.
yeah, it was
Diabetes.
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 It was actually one of the Oompa Loompas.
So
No,
okay,
but yeah,
I got
yeah.
I got to point out. I mean, we're it's early, but let's go ahead and do it. I got to rip the Band-Aid off and point out my one and only main issue with this episode. I like the episode. I agree with Nick. I think that it was a good hour. It wasn't like stretched. I never felt like it was too long or anything. I liked where it went and how it took time, and I think that time was well spent, and it gave us time with these characters to show us, his meteoric rise to whatever. But man, I felt like the end was really rushed. I felt like it was going along at like a steady pace, and then like
Well,
the
you know
last
what
5 minutes happened, and it was just like what that. I didn't
Well,
mind how it played out. It just happened like
yeah.
really fast. There was no work up to it. It just like bam happened. I was like,
Well, you know what happened,
okay,
Jacob? Rod Serling had like 80 pages written, and he realized, oh wait, this is only 52 minutes. Oh shit! He's like typing really quickly. He's like, I'm done. He did like one page was for that whole 5 minutes.
I
I
mean,
mean, I
really,
get that. I mean,
the end
it's
was very fast, and I did feel like that
mm,
kind of that soft. The end was a little soft for me. I mean, it happened, and I didn't expect this to be an episode where there was going to be a big dun 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 like surprise. Like you said, it's not that kind of Twilight Zone episode. But I don't know. I was expecting the end to just. It was poignant, but I was expecting a little bit more from it. I guess I don't know.
I
This
think
was very
I think
rushed.
the problem I think the problem is like the only major problem is like you're saying, the minute he shoots and kills, I mean, we'll just say he shoots and kills his friend Ernst because he's now kind of fully converted. He's now Man of Steel or whatever. Literally the cops show up like 10 seconds later and they're like, "Yeah, you're here for the murder of blah blah blah, whatever his name is, whatever Ernst's name
Nick
is or
something or
whatever."
another. No, he's there for
Oh,
the
Nick. It
murder
was
of
for
the
Nick,
friend.
but
Yeah.
yeah, it just happens all sudden so quickly, and then he's like running out of the balcony to the balcony. He falls
Yeah,
like a gangster from the 30s movies or whatever, and
And then he ends up in the back alley next to
took a hell of
the
a
dead
fall
man's
off that
shoes.
catwalk though.
Yeah.
yeah, he's like, "Ma, I'm on top of the world, Ma, I'm top of the world," and he's
Yeah,
like,
it was like there was no buildup. There was no, oh, they're on to me or anything like that. Or it was just like the cops just busted up in there. It's like, hey, you know that thing you did a few minutes ago? We're on to
"Well,
you.
Well, no,
that's
it
the
wasn't for that. It was for the other guy that he killed to make a martyr.
Yeah, but he
well,
didn't kill
that's the thing. Like, when did they figure? Yeah, when did they figure out? Like, did like one of the guys just like, I can't do this anymore, and just like how do they know that he killed Nick? Because
that's what I'm talking about.
it was a
That
quote
would be my
unquote like it was a quote unquote like like job, like they hired someone to do it, and
Well, the few minutes thing, I was joking about that, but like, yeah, they didn't like it. Just happened. There was no like, oh, they pinched Nick and they got him and they're questioning him or whatever. Wait, what? Nick was the one they killed, right? No, Nick was the one who
yeah.
killed him.
No,
No,
Nick was the one that died.
Stanley was the one that killed him.
Stanley, yeah,
Like
okay, Stanley killed
actually,
Nick.
they probably hired a mobster or some shit. I don't know. Like it never really fully explained how
Point being, he didn't do it. He didn't
Mhm.
physically kill the guy. I mean, yes, there's still laws that get him for conspiracy to kill him and stuff like that, but he didn't kill the guy. And just a moment ago, I think he was talking to the Stanley guy. I could have been a little wrong on that, but I mean, and he just suddenly then the cops show up in full force to take him away, and I'm like, this escalated really fast. But
Oh yeah, we're just not watching the director's cut, Jacob. That's the problem. There's a
I
director's cut
guess
out there somewhere that's hidden in a
it's
box,
two
like in
hours
the Ark
long.
of the Covenant,
I
right?
mean, actually, this was supposed to be a full length. Like Serling originally wanted to write it as a full length movie.
I could see
I
that.
was I was expecting no commercial breaks. I was expecting it just to go straight through because that's what it felt like it was doing. Like this is a story that didn't need act breaks or whatever. And you know what? Before we continue, we should probably do this long ass opening narration. I'm sorry, Jacob. I know you were looking forward to this. It's a long
Oh, it
ass
is long,
opening
isn't it?
narration. Yeah.
Okay, let's see. I haven't read this. Portrait of a Bush League Führer named Peter Vollmer, a sparse little man who feeds off his delusions and finds himself perpetually hungry for want of greatness in his diet. And like some goose-stepping predecessors, he searches for something to explain his hunger and to rationalize why a world passes him by without saluting. That something he looks for and finds is in a sewer. In his own twisted and distorted lexicon, he calls it faith, strength, truth. But in just a moment, Peter Vollmer will ply his trade on another kind of corner, a strange intersection in a shadowland called the Twilight Zone.
Hey, Jacob, I gotta ask you. You may not get this joke. Do you think he was one of the Vollmer twins?
That sounds really familiar. Oh, is that from like the face the
No, no. It's a well-known John-Claude Van Damme movie.
Time Cop?
Yeah, the Vollmer twins, the spots on the time travel wall.
Oh.
I didn't know if you get
part.
that
I didn't
joke or
know
not.
I don't remember the
Yeah,
Vollmer name.
yeah, the
I remember
Ballmer
the
twins.
spots. Yeah, yeah.
Sorry, that's a little
I knew
aside.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Shit. Of course. Time cop. Huh?
yeah,
Splits in the kitchen
yeah,
With the thing.
exactly.
in your
Having sex with
underwear.
Mia Sarah. Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Duh.
Anyways, so that's a lot of words, a lot of talking,
Mhm.
um, a lot of explanation about Peter Vollmer, which this guy is he's a big puss. He's a big puss in the beginning of this episode. He cries a lot, he whines a lot. He's like your typical deranged human being that doesn't get that he's causing more angst than he is causing goodness.
I
I
think
don't
he's
know.
trying to be the big man without like having the big man backup.
Yeah,
Or hasn't
probably.
found the way to be the big man.
Yeah, he's getting like stuff thrown at him and getting his ass kicked by the people in the crowd.
Yeah, when he did that whole thing afterwards from the beginning when he was like talking and they got beat up and all that and he's sitting there talking to the people. He's all in on this thing, man. He like believes it. I don't know if but it's almost like he believes it because he found something that accepts him or whatever, like we were talking about earlier, like a family or a unit or something like that. So he's like all in 100% no matter what, just blindly. And he's really just like, man, why people, they would get it. They would get it. They would understand if I just had the words. I don't have the words. It seemed really genuine. I mean, what he's saying is crazy, but I thought it was like really genuine that he was just like, I want people to understand if I could just say it right, they would totally get me. I was like, well, that's neat. They didn't portray him as, well, I mean, he was a fucknut, but they didn't portray him as just pure evil for evil's sake. He was conflicted and he had like, he, like we said, he had the Jewish father figure, if you will, and all that. And he had like, re I don't know if they're regrets, but he definitely had thoughts about that whole situation and everything. And I feel like at some point he thinks he's doing the right thing somehow, but then it kind of like takes off from there and then it just becomes about power.
Yeah. Well, it's that old line about that's not even the right way to state it, but like the road to hell is paved with good intentions.
Yeah.
There's probably a seed of truth in his mind
Yeah.
because of how he was raised or because of his upbringing. He had that, he probably felt underappreciated and everything, and that probably built into this. Like he's like, oh my gosh, other people that feel the same way I do. And whatever truth or not truth there is in there is still that feeling that, like it's like that old thing about, oh, there's something not right with the world, and people take that little grain of truth, because there is a lot that's weird, but they
Yeah.
take that and they turn it into the earth is flat or the moon landing was fake, or name whatever conspiracy theory
Stanley
you
Kubrick
want.
directed the moon landing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
whatever you want to take it as, but there's that. Yeah, so I don't know. I'm glad that they gave them humanity, and I don't think
Yeah.
Serling would do less than that.
I would,
Well, he
well, a
started.
lot of the time that's what we get with whenever you deal with people like this in media, especially, they're just like soulless, evil, dark, just terrible people all around, which I mean, I have a hard time saying there's something good about them because the people that have these ideologies, I starkly disagree with on that particular thing. But on the flip side of that, human beings are human beings, and I mean, I think we all have at least a shred of good in us somewhere. It may be
Well, it's
wasted.
Yeah.
well, here's the thing that I've noticed that as Tripp said, the road is paved with good intentions, but the thing that really is interesting is this guy had this seed planted, right? And the point when the guy in the shadow, which we all know who it is, comes into the mix, it
Wilford
really
Brimley.
shows that what's that?
Wilford Brimley.
Yeah, as soon as Wilford Brimley and his Ewoks coming into the mix, or the thing, or whatever it is, coming
Ewoks.
to the mix. Anyways,
Battleport Indoor.
exactly. But as soon as they come into the mix, like that is the nature of that seed or that ideology really starting the more and more you kind of believe your own shit, the more and more it's going to affect in disease, and it's going to cause you to kind of change in a lot of respects. And that's what happens to Peter Vollmer. He's a guy that has this belief, which we all don't, we may or may not agree with, depending on who you are. And the
Like
more
any of us agree with.
well, no, I'm just saying, like,
Oh,
I'm not saying
you
any,
mean
I'm
just
just saying,
people?
like,
Okay, yeah.
in the 100 people that listen to us or watch us, whatever your views are. But the more and more, like, he starts to believe his own shit, and the more and more it's like, Hitler. Hitler started out as a guy who was probably not a terrible human being, but as things kind of seeded into his mind, he became more and more of a, a monster, as we learned. And that's what's happening here. It's just this guy who starts to kind of see that he's starting to gain that audience. So the more and more he believes, the more and more powerful this individual that he thinks he's seeing becomes. And it finally kind of escalates to the point where he's willing to kill his friend to gain the power and the right to what he believes is the true calling. And it's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy how simple, how you're born kind of born kind of a clean slate, and you start going into a different direction. You start going into a direction that's kind of crazy what happens here. And it's just a very kind of like thought thinking man's episode when it comes to that, I guess. I don't know. Hitler was this like mass murderer, but he was a vegetarian.
Fucking vegans, man. I'm telling you, the fuck is wrong? They're terrible.
Oh god.
Nah, this episode obviously uses the extreme worst version of hate and meanness in Hitler and neo-Nazism and all that. But I think that a lot of this, like what he says in the end, how he says this phantom, I don't think he's necessarily talking. I mean, some people might take when he gets there that he's talking about just the neo-Nazi movement. I don't know, neo-Nazism and Hitler ideologies. I don't think that that's what it was about. I think that's how it materialized here with this particular guy, because that's it's easy for us to understand. It's easy for everybody to understand. But I think it meant just like hate, prejudice of any kind.
Yeah, I mean, we're dealing
And
with
just
the civil rights
stupidity,
movement stuff going on.
stupidity overall. I mean, because like I think that phantom, if you will, has manifested itself in like so many different ways over the years in all these different places, like not just with neo Nazis, but just I mean, even and I'm not just with like race and stuff like that, but just like people having these dumbass ideologies over stupid shit. I mean, it's just yeah. I think that Phantom is alive and well, and always will be. There's always going to be, hate or
The
hate
hills are alive with the sound of music. Sorry,
or
I
just
had to
these
do it.
crazy ideologies. There's just like what are you doing? And people and a lot of this episode, I think it starts with this guy who, while I vehemently disagree with this ideology, he is somehow, I would be interested to know who introduced him to it, and how that happened, but I vehemently disagree with that. But it's not just about that ideology. It's I think at first he does believe, hey, this is the right path for whatever reason, and he's wanting to do this because he feels like it's the right thing, whatever. But then over time, I think that it does become a bit of a power thing, like with his friend. Oh, we need a martyr, and how he justifies doing these terrible things for the greater good.
The
And I think
greater good.
yeah, and I think that right there, that transition where he goes from he likes the power and he likes the all the people, the admiration and all that he gets from the people. And I think that's when it really does start to change him. Not that he was like preaching for something good to begin with, but I do think that we get that a lot. I've seen that a lot throughout history where sometimes people aren't, what they're starting out with is a good thing or something at least not bad like this, and that power gets a hold and makes them do bad things or take something that could be good, positive, and turning
You
it
just need you need Wilford Brimley as his father figure.
diabetes.
Everything been fine. You could have taken down that thing.
Yeah, but the end was still rushed, very
Yeah.
rushed.
In
I mean, really,
retrospect,
I can't, because
at
that's the
that
only problem I had with this episode. Because, I think it's the stark contrast of the ending being like so rushed. I never, like I said, the way it worked out, I didn't have a problem with that. I think fine, I get it. The point was made, and I'm there for it. But it was like the whole episode was like slow, but not like it's like slow burn, not bad, just a slow burn, and it took time to build up, and I thought that was a very good direction to take with this episode. But then like the end, it's like, okay, slow burn, slow burn. Rod, we have 5 minutes left in the episode, go. Oh, just put it at the end. It's like shit. I mean, I liked everything that came before, so it's not like I'm like, oh, I think they should have cut this, cut that, cut this, but at the expense of the ending seeming so rushed. Maybe they should have dialed something back at another point so that they could have had a few extra minutes in the end to play that up a bit. I don't know. I'm not the writer, but that's just how I felt. That is it. I can only really think of that one thing about the episode I didn't care for. It's just very rushed in the end. Sorry,
Yeah.
Trevor, cut you off.
No, I was just gonna say I didn't really think about that until you said something, and it's like, yeah, that it was quite rushed. Like he goes from, popping his surrogate dad to, standing there in the darkness, and then all of a sudden the cops are coming in and going, yeah, see?
Yeah, it was like, damn, we ramped this is escalated quickly. Ramped up, and it was stark contrast. It was a like the slow methodical episode the whole time, and then all of a sudden bam, and I was like, well, okay, oh, it's over, all right, cool.
I know what they should have done was just
Uh,
taken away the preview of the next week's episode, and then we could have had a more fulfilling thing.
Yeah, something, I don't know.
this is interesting. So the death of Nick Bloss is a reference to the 1930 murder of Horst Wessel, a low-ranking officer of the Storm Division, Stormtroopers, Sturmbannführung.
Stormtrooper Finn.
That's what. Yeah, it's what this
That's where it came from.
German word.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So
Empire's absolutely Nazis.
exactly.
Well, it could be many things, but yeah.
But the group, the stormtroopers, or however you say it in German, they are the main portion or main part of the rise of Adolf Hitler, part of his rise to power. It's interesting. So yeah, clearly Rod Serling was not thinking about Adolf Hitler in this episode, not at all. He was thinking about the battle for Endor. And
There you go.
yeah, no, in all honesty, this is an episode that I'm pretty sure Rod Serling was truly thinking about when it came to, Adolf Hitler and how he viewed like war and, the rise of like hate and stuff like that. Because like you said earlier, Jacob, you could see this as like an allegory to the movement of the what's that word called? The God, I just forgot the name of it. Allegory. What was in the 60s? Like, what was that called?
Civil rights.
Yeah, civil rights movement, like the hate going on between the African Americans and whites and all that shit that was going on. How you could think of that and think of
Oh
like
yeah. I mean, that's
was
most
it
of the Twilight
yeah
Zone episodes. You could relate them to. I mean, they're timely, kind of whenever you are.
yeah. I'm just saying
And
at
that
the time, like this could also look at the power of like the civil rights movement and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Anyways, so yeah, I mean, Vollmer, he's a big puss. He cries to his friend. His friend's like, you've forgotten the face of your father, and you've killed your father, prepared to die, type of thing. And I really like Ludwig Donath in this episode because he says some really powerful stuff throughout this episode. Some really kind of thought provoking things, which sometimes you don't get in TV, which I found kind of fascinating. I don't know what you guys think, because he says some, especially at the end before he dies, he says something like really powerful. And I don't know what you guys think about that.
When he dies?
Yeah, when Ernst dies.
What did he say? I don't remember.
He
Like
died.
everything he said was pretty
No,
solid.
no, Ernst's character says a lot of like is okay. Here's a quote. Just as he is about just before he gets shot, he says, "I know you, Peter. I know you from a ravaged little boy, one he loved, to a torn man craving respect, identity, pride.
Oh,
Peter, I don't fear you, so you may do what you have in mind at any time you wish. But this last one reminder to you: you can never kill an idea with a bullet, Peter. Never." And
I thought you
then
meant when Vollmer died. I was like, What did he say? He said, "Ah."
Oh, yeah, he's like,
Yeah.
ah. No, he actually says, I thought I was made of steel, but this is not, this is when he gets shot. Ernst, when he gets shot, it says, all steel, all strength, but at the expense of the thing most other men have, some fragments of decency to tell them right from wrong, make them feel guilty at dishonor, that make them love. Yes, Peter, you have steel, but you have no heart. I mean, this is a like deep
Like the
deep
Tin Man.
yeah, right? Deep
I
whatever
I
thoughts.
just saw and I think Triv alluded to this earlier or mentioned it, but I just read Serling wanted to do two versions of He's Alive, a short version for television and a longer version for theatrical release as a feature film. He extended the script, added a number of scenes, and even a new protagonist, an FBI agent who investigates Vollmer's neo-Nazi movement. But with Twilight Zone budget already stretched to the breaking point, Serling's proposal was turned down. The scene following Hitler revealing himself was filmed, but the footage has since been lost. I think the FBI agent investigating Vollmer's neo-Nazi movement could have been what I was talking about, of giving that rushed ending a little bit of context.
Oh yeah.
Because like that's what it was. It's like not the fact that they came in and like what happened. That's fine. I just feel like there were scenes before that, like leading up to it, that just like were missing. Like the way that played out is fine. I'm okay. Here's the culmination of like this investigation, but up to that point, we had no thoughts that there was any type of investigation or anything. So I think the FBI agent thing could have like helped out a little bit. But
And that's really the first time that we see the cop too. Like there's no introduction of him elsewhere. So not
Yeah.
that you would want more of that, but just if they're gonna bring him in.
I mean, I get it. It's not like I'm like, oh, I don't understand why this happened to that. I get what happened. I didn't need any further explanation, but it's just like I said, the slow, methodical pace of the entire episode, and then that just boom. Maybe this FBI agent being involved, showing maybe him doing some investigating or something, whatever he was, or maybe showing up every now and then and talking to him, being like, "So, what you doing, Mac? I hear you out here talking hate and stuff." And I don't
You're
know.
talking some phony baloney.
Yeah, and
Hey.
your friend turned up dead there, and I feel like maybe you had something to do with it. We're doing an investigation.
But yeah, so Peter starts to garner an audience, and I don't know. I mean, what do you guys think about that? Like him garner an audience and him, starting to lose his like reality, like kind of grasp on reality when the guy in the shadow kind of starts to become more and more powerful as he moves along, that type of thing.
I like how the people in the audience, I expected, like as it was happening, and he got better at talking and all that, and he started gripping people. I was expecting the audience just all of a sudden be looking, yeah, 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 but it wasn't like that. I thought it was more subtle, and like with each time, each little presentation he was doing, like you just saw the people at first they were just kind of like maybe not totally turning away. It wasn't like an immediate like, oh yeah, I'm here for what you're selling, and I totally am with you. But like he was just getting better and better at his propaganda, and they were like slowly kind of like, okay, I'm listening a bit more. So I felt like that was much more realistic in its depiction of how you sway the crowd and turn the people. This doesn't happen with like one single whatever those things were. It looks like he was in church, but
It
whatever.
was a hall of some sort.
Yeah, one little rally or whatever. I guess it is. I don't think everybody's gonna get turned right just in one rally, but like over time, as he spouts all this stuff out to them and like gets in their heads, that's how it seemed like it was doing it each time. That people were paying a little bit more attention to him, and kind of you didn't have the people going like, yeah, 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 but they're just kind of
You listen, but
Yeah.
like there's that one thing that catches you and it starts to kind of slowly pull you in.
yeah. I thought that was a bit more real. It showed that was a part of that, slow methodical pace of it. Just showed how this thing, because these things don't happen overnight.
No.
I mean, even the Peter, was that his name? The
Yeah.
old man.
Yeah,
He
Peter.
Oh
even
no,
said-
Ernst.
No, Ernst
Ernst
is-
was the old man.
He even said, I remember we've seen this before. We saw it, back in Germany or Poland or whatever, and we didn't think anything about it. It was just happening. It was just this little thing over here, and then over time it grew, and next thing we know, we're in camps. So it's like, yeah, it doesn't happen overnight, but it does happen.
It's like when you put the frog, like the old story about the frog in the water, and the heat is slowly turned up, almost imperceptibly.
They don't notice it until it's too late.
Yep.
Now you're frog legs
Exactly. You're being served up on somebody's plate.
in France because
Yep.
they eat frog.
It's kind of interesting because as he garners an audience, it just shows you that in the right mindset and the right ability to lead, people will follow. And it's very scary because, people have this identity of like having free will, having their own mind and ideology and stuff like that. But really, if you think about it, we follow under somebody else's ideology and therefore, or somebody else's purpose. And, that's when people become misguided. And that's what happens here is these people think this guy, they think we can go into the details of them all being white and stuff like that. But the idea of like, this movement happening is nothing new, and it shows in like you see it in like the Ku Klux Klan, you see it in the Black Panther movement, you see it in all these movements where an ideology spreads, and it only takes like one person to kind of put doubt into that ideology, but it just shows you how out of control something can be or something can happen that can cause a lot of people to get hurt in the process, and that's what happens here. And when I like Ernest's character for the simple fact that he's almost like your Jiminy Cricket in a lot of ways, where he's the conscious of like what you should be doing and how you should be acting, and he goes up against the crowd, and like Vollmer's friends are like, well, you need to put him down, you need to get him out of here, you need to do something with him. And I don't know. I just felt that, you don't, I honestly don't think you see a lot of characters like this, like Ernst in the Twilight Zone, that have this kind of like real powerful morality to them that really shows you how one man can really kind of change course of stuff. And I don't know. I just really liked Ernst's character. I thought it was a really, really different character that Rod Serling sometimes doesn't write in this Twilight Zone. Like you'll start seeing it like I Am the Color Night and stuff like that. I think that's what it's called, but I don't know. It doesn't happen very often to me personally. I don't know.
I think his character being involved here was really interesting. It was one of the more interesting parts about the episode. It doesn't necessarily tie directly into the moral of the episode, the point about the Phantom hate or whatever. But I think it did make the episode a lot more interesting of having this juxtaposition of this guy who your surrogate son hates everything that you are, but he doesn't necessarily hate you. And, that whole thing. I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah.
Too.
I mean, the question I have for you guys is, fuck, I forgot the question I was gonna have. Triv, did you have anything to say on it? I was trying. I had a specific question I had in mind that I wanted to ask you guys. I just fucking forgot it. Damn it.
Well, I
Triv,
got one
help
for
me
you.
out.
Well, while you're
Yeah.
thinking about that, we've had a couple of Nazi specific episodes, Judgment Night to some extent, the Death's Head Revisited, and this. Of those three, which one do you think does the best job of kind of laying out the message that Rod Serling kind of follows through with? I know they kind of take different perspectives, but of the three, which one stands out the most to you generally?
I
This
think, yeah, I think this one on the simple. I think the Death's Head Revisited is a better episode, but I think in the nature of like how people can be so swayed by a simple idea and cause so much chaos in that idea, because he doesn't like Peter's character doesn't cause enough chaos to the point where he goes past the city he lives in. But if it kept going and going and he didn't have Ernest's character, I think a simple fact that he could have gained a huge movement. Like you look at like the neo-Nazism today, it's kind of a huge movement because of like it got out of control. His thing didn't get that far, but I like the simple fact that Rod is showing the effects of what happens when true evil in Death Head Revisited, true evil is finally able to do what it needs to do. Here is he's showing that what could happen if that does get to an extent, and I think I think this episode does that more better than, in that sense, but they're both like completely different versions of that same idea, I guess. I don't know. I
No,
mean,
no, I think
this episode just had me thinking a lot, which doesn't really happen a lot. I don't think that much, but
I think that you give quite a lot of deep thought to a lot of these episodes, whether you like to admit it or not.
I just think it's funny. Like I said, I guess it just hits. It wouldn't hit me as hard if we weren't dealing with like the shit we're dealing with today and stuff like that. But once again, it goes back to what Jacob said earlier. This shit, or you guys have both said, it's just this kind of stuff is going to happen, whether it be the 60s, the 70s, the 2020s. I'm sure it'll happen in the 2030s. I mean, it's just a simple idea of like we're built with different things in our views of the world. I have different views and Jacob has different views and Triv has different views, and it's just how you use those views for, to view towards people. And it sucks, it's sad, but once again, like Jacob, you said, it's human nature, human culture.
These people can believe whatever the hell they want. As long as they ain't hurting nobody, they don't need to be going around and spouting their shit off to everybody. I mean, I say that about anybody's beliefs when it comes to this kind of, when it comes to hate. I can't get behind any movement that is going to want to elevate anyone or any group at the expense of another. And that's essentially what this was. But that goes
But
all different ways. So everything and everyone. I'm not going to elevate dogs at the expense of cats. I mean, it's every bit of it.
with dogs and cats living together, nice hysteria, Jacob.
Exactly. It's just, I mean, people talk about, people talk down about one hate group, but then talk up another one because it's the opposite of that hate group, but it's still a hate group. Maybe we don't call it that, but hating people is hating people. Whatever your reason is, why you gotta hate? Just get over it.
Yeah, like put any of us or anybody into like this, you were the worst person in the world. It just, when you see what this guy is doing, you see how he comes from this like simple life of a man who was raised by somebody who went through some shit in the 30s, I'm sure in the 30s and 40s and whatever. And then you see how it just, how whatever happened to, whether he read whatever that book Adolf Hitler
Mein
wrote,
Kampf.
Mein Kampf, whether he read that or whatever caused him to do this. It's interesting to see how quickly that can take hold. And
That's something I
unless
would be
you
interested
are,
to see
yeah, what's that?
how he got there.
Yeah.
Like
What led him
it's
to
in the director's cut.
I mean, what led
Yeah.
him to this like pretty high level of hate of an entire group of people?
Yeah, because he hates a lot of people. He hates,
Yeah, to
he
the
talks
point to where you accept neo-Nazism. I mean, it's like I said, I'm not down for any hate. And there's only one group of people that I hate that I will okay hating, and that's assholes. If you're an asshole, fuck you. But I mean, like beyond that, what led this guy here? What guy? He doesn't seem like, I mean, beyond this belief he has that I vehemently disagree with, he doesn't seem like a bad guy. I mean, even when he's like talking to his Ernst, he seems like he cares about this guy. You know what I mean? He's like, I don't want to talk about it and all that. And I'm like, what led you down this road? What put you here? Can we get a prequel? I mean, like really, because it's not like, oh, he only hates Jews or he only hates black people. He just hates everybody who's not
he
Aryan.
talks about right. He talks about
Yeah.
how the white America is like being overrun by people from other countries. I'm like, yeah, that's definitely neo-Nazism in a lot of respects. And it's funny because like when Hitler, when the Shadow Man, or we'll just call him Wilford Brentley, Hitler, or whatever you want to call him, when he gets introduced into the mix, like the idea of like how they feel like they're the quote unquote minority, and the quote unquote like the race that's being put under the rug or being like thrown away. It's just you start to see like how that hate can spread so quickly. And I don't know, I found that
Oh, it
interesting
absolutely
once
can.
hit.
You
Yeah.
see that whenever something catches on, man, like hate, it's weird how, um, and I'm sure it's a little bit harder. I'm sure nowadays, like have that type of hate. Like, I don't think Nazism is going to catch on like en masse ever again. But like you could take hate and you could put a bow on it, and you can make people get on board with it. We see it all the time now.
Oh yeah.
You can make it seem like, oh, it's okay to hate because of this. It's like, no, it's not.
That's like a straw man thing. It's the thing about hate is it takes like the worst version of anything. I don't care what race, what nationality you're talking about it. Like it's them. It's that whole idea of them.
It's okay to hate because of this. Because there's always a but, there's always because.
Yep.
It's all right to hate because I don't know, you were hated. Okay, so just have a vicious circle then. All right. Let me know how that works
Yeah,
out.
I like how Ernst basically tells the crowd, you guys are basically just a cheap copy of something that already happened, and you'll always be a cheap copy because you'll never have your own ideologies and thoughts. And I I gotta ask you guys though, you know, when Hitler's like, well, you're the one that kind of spawned me. You're the Edward Norton character. I'm Tyler Durden. I just did what I just came out of your ideology and thinking. Like, the fact that, of course it's Adolf Hitler that is the man behind the shadow. The question I have is like, not only that, but like, where did the $200 come from? If this guy is like a figment of his imagination, did this guy just have like $200 sitting around or somewhere, or? Because you remember they had to pay
That's always
pay
that
the
that
That's the
that is
Twilight Zoneness of it.
yeah, that's because he does. I'm trying to think if there's any other place where he kind of does like something physical in his,
he
or if
really
he's always
doesn't.
just yeah.
Yeah, it's more just that he's in the shadows. Like I like that concept of being in the shadows because it makes it ambiguous about if this is all in Peter's mind or if this is something that he's manifesting. Like I can't remember. There's been movies where the idea is manifested into like the actual creature, into something
Or
real
it
and
could
tangible.
I mean, it could have
Yeah,
just been one of the other people that were like one of the supporters or something. And then
true.
they dropped it off and he just said, "Oh, it was you." And like the crazy in his head was like, "Yeah, it was me." So I mean,
yeah.
I don't know. It was odd that it
Sorry, I
was
keep
the
yawning.
exact amount of money they needed.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah, this guy comes out randomly. He's like, "Hey, how much do you think we should give him? I don't know. Give him $200, as they call Z's."
Was $200 like what they needed? That was what they needed to pay their bill, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's probably a year's worth of like keeping that place. Probably $200 going for like a whole year with renting out that hall. All I know is if I had 200 Z's, I'd be going to Vegas. I don't know. It's just me. Anyways, I
I
mean, yeah, like, what's that?
$200 in 1963 or 1960, $200 today is $2,087.
Oof.
Damn, that's an expensive ass all they're using.
And it's not
You know
that
what's funny?
fancy.
I think
Yeah,
he had like a tab though.
Yeah.
They've been using it,
yeah.
but still $2,087. How many nights they've been doing this?
Many.
I guess.
Ironically, $2,000 for a hall like that isn't that it's actually pretty cheap. This guy's giving a pretty decent rate. The question I have is, do you think the guy who's renting out the hall is just like, there we go, another
I think
night, another
it's
used
$2,000.
hate. Yeah.
I don't give a shit what you're talking about in there. Just give me my
But
money.
even at this point though, he's when he's got them like at this point, which we're still relatively early on when he's called out for needing to pay for the hall. He gets that money and he becomes so damn cocky about it. It's like he switches, like the decent part of his head turns off and just the asshole comes out in full force.
He's an asshole.
Oh, yo.
So, so what you're saying, Triv, is money is absolute.
Money and
Money buys
power.
There is nothing
absolute
quite as wonderful
power.
as money, 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 money.
Absolute power. Is he like?
Unlimited
Is he using?
power.
He's using lasers coming out of his hands, like. Shh.
Yeah.
Also true.
Also true indeed. But yeah, I mean that's what I kind of love about this idea of Hitler and stuff like that. I don't love the idea of Hitler. The idea of
Can we get that clip?
Yes, I will.
Can we get that
no,
clipped out? That's what I love about this idea of Hitler.
no.
Nick.
Yeah.
Really?
I mean, I am
Emporium.
an Italian, German, or Italian, yeah, German descent. So I mean, what the hell?
Oh
No,
my god.
no. What I was gonna say, this idea in this episode about
Mhm.
shut up.
You shut up.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
No, but no, honestly, no. In seriousness, though, the idea, what I
You're
love
one Wiener
about
Schnitzel away from being a Nazi.
oh, Jesus. No, but seriously, in all seriousness, the idea that I love about what they're using is the simple fact that this character in the shadow, the more and more this guy believes in his ideology and what Hitler was in neo-Nazism, so like that, the more and more strong-willed that the Adolf Hitler character becomes, until the point where it's kind of fully taken over Peter's character, and he comes out of the shadows and it's now fully enveloped who Peter is. Basically hands him a gun, says you need to go kill Ernst, and he goes and kills Ernst, and Ernst gives those like great speeches and like that. And I love that idea because he's basically, the seed has become a monster, and the monster has basically full formed into this really hateful character. And then of course Peter dies by falling off gangster style. But no, I mean, like, what do you like that kind of hit me pretty. It was kind of an interesting, kind of cool way to kind of position this character in a lot of respects. I don't know what you guys think.
I live by the gun, die by the gun.
But I don't know. In all seriousness, like, you guys have nothing on that, or is it just me?
No, I think it was an interesting way to go out. I don't know, it seemed appropriate.
It's like the guy in his head grew in power as he got better at what he was doing, and is almost like if it had continued on, would the man in the shadows, the man in his head, whatever it was, would that have ended up taking over him?
I think that shadow of hate that they talk about kind of throughout, especially in the Rod's or Serling's final like bit, it kind of overshadowed what he was as a person. And like I said before, it's like he saw these places and the good part of him shut off, and it was just left with that dark, nasty bit.
I think he was a guy who just had a rough childhood, and
Also
he
true.
was looking for something or someone to blame. He had some hate inside of him for the fact that he had had this rough childhood, and this outlet right here gave him someone or something or some people to point a finger at and say, "This is why. This is why my childhood was shit, because of you,
Yeah.
or because of this, or because of the establishment, because of this, because of you." And that's
Because of you
probably,
rat
I guess,
bastards.
that's why he related to it, I guess. I don't know. We won't know until we get the full movie version.
Yep. And that'll be coming, I'm sure, soon.
Oh yeah, sure. Okay.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. So he kills his friend, violently. It kind of sucks because it just Ernst has been talking about this throughout the entire episode, just how you're kind of a little boy, you're in a big man's body, and
Little bitch.
basically you're a
Yeah.
little bitch, and and the things you're doing are, I've seen it before. I'll see it, it'll be done again, and you'll be kind of a footnote in the history of like the hate and speech and stuff like that. And you know, Vollmer goes back to his, I like how Peter like runs away and then he comes back. He's like, I run away, and then he comes back to try and take down the castle. And he basically gets approached for the death of Nicholas Bloss, and he's like, nope, I'm out. Runs away and gets shot off the balcony, and is like, hi mom, I'm coming. Or he's like Randy Quaid in Independence Day, like, I'm back, and crashes into the ground.
I mean, I do think the
So
one thing you can say about like when he shoots, it's kind of like Anakin Skywalker taking out all the little kids. Like there's
I want to hear this.
yeah, I'm interested too, True.
No, I was just
So is
gonna
your
say
cat.
you got a cat. No, I was just
He
gonna
likes my
say that it's
mic.
like Anakin Skywalker with the younglings. That was kind of his final descent into the dark side, and killing Ernst
Yeah.
was kind of in that same realm.
But I mean, so you're
It was
saying
the
that?
the
Wait, are you
the
saying the
point of no
police are
return.
Anakin Skywalker or the?
No, 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 no. I mean, when Peter was killing Ernst,
Oh,
I think you could say that like that was kind of his final descent to the dark side.
Yeah,
yeah,
this is the point of no return. He couldn't come back from that.
No,
That was the point when we knew, okay, you gotta die.
yeah,
He will not come back.
like
yeah, and
became irredeemable. Any shred that was good in
Vader.
him kind of got taken over by that point.
Yeah.
But so you think if he'd like taken over the world and he had a son and his son came back and like, no, that's not true, that's impossible, and
Yep,
then he like stands up for his dad and he would have come back.
absolutely. Like
And
And
him
so
being
would
shot off the balcony was kind of like Mustafar. He ended up by
uh
the dead man's shoes, and like actually the shoes had taken over his personality, not a gangster's.
interesting.
we
Trev,
heard you guys
I think
heard
you
a
have the
lot
director's
more.
cut. Yeah.
When
Damn
he
right
fell
I
off
do.
that balcony, he went, I go.
He only in this case he had the high ground.
And he went, no.
I like Ernst's like last statement before he dies is there's something very wrong here. Don't you understand that I'm made out of steel? And it just proves that like what I like about that statement is the simple fact that this guy thought he was indestructible and he's just a man,
Yep.
just a man. Like Vader, just a man who had force powers. So,
Well,
Just a little boy in the dark.
and like a lot of them, like they talk about being immortal. And with Hitler, you can kind of say, yeah, the idea to some extent isn't something that's going to go away. It's lived in many forms across history, whether you call it hate, whether you call it Nazism, however you want to state it. That hate, is an idea that goes on. But Hitler the man and Peter the man could be killed easily because they're just fleshy bodies of things and people and whatnot.
Meat bags.
Meat bags. Thank you.
exactly.
Thank you,
I
Bender.
like how I like how Peter will basically become a footnote. He basically will become another nothing in the world of all this. Like everything he's done never gonna be remembered a week from now.
Agreed.
I don't know.
Mhm.
Agreed.
No, I think you're right. I think that there's little men with big dreams.
That's what she said. Little men with big dreams. Nah.
That's
But I mean that's pretty much the episode. It's there's a lot of stuff I didn't talk about, with how he talks about certain things and certain ideologies and stuff like that. But I think we got the main point across to what this episode is trying to do, which is much better than just going through the plot. I think it's funny. I write all these notes and I never really use them because we end up kind of like just basically breaking down in simpler fashions. I mean, it's crazy, like all the stuff that happens in this episode.
yeah.
I don't know what's
Um,
crazier.
what's that?
That we are 4 episodes in now, essentially 8, and
You're never gonna let this
some
go,
of
are
the
you?
best episodes we've had in a while.
But Jacob,
Starting
I have to
think
ask you,
I was
is that
trolled.
Jacob? But I have to ask you, is that a statement of the fourth season, or is that just a simple fact that the third season has some really shitty closing episodes? Like, are we
Not just
that deluded
closing,
about
man.
what? But are
Third
we that
season was
deluded?
mediocre of the season. I mean, it had good episodes, obviously, but this is
Well,
some
I mean, but
mediocrity there.
what if the third season had been like a banger, like one episode after another? Do you think this season would have been better for it,
And
or do
maybe
you
not
think this season's better?
better so much, but I still wouldn't have considered these as bad. Like I've heard
They're
how
all been
terrible.
solid. They've all been, even if third season had been a banger, these episodes so far, I mean, and I think we're on the same page about this, Jake, is they've been pretty solid episodes.
Yeah, the hour format's working. I mean, the only thing this one didn't do. Well, I like this episode too, by the way. If I didn't get that across, and you had the thing with the ending, which, like I said, I didn't dislike the ending. I felt like there were deleted scenes that were cut out at the last, right before the ending. But anyway, the only thing this episode didn't do, it kind of did, but not to the extent as the others. Is the others I was like back to like season 1, where I'm like, I don't know where this is going. I don't know what's going to happen. And this one For a lot of it, I didn't. But then when we started getting to a certain point, I was like, okay, I basically know how this is going to play out, more or less. I didn't necessarily know the cops were going to bust in and do that, but I was like, this is not going to go on a good for this guy. And that's pretty much what happened. But that doesn't take away from it, because I don't feel like this was that type of typical Twilight Zone where they're going to have the Shyamalan twist at the end. That's not what this was. This was more trying to tell a personal story about these people and like be a bit more serious, if you will, than some of the other episodes. And I appreciate that. It's just a different type of storytelling. It's not that what a twist kind of storytelling.
Right.
But that's the only thing is this one didn't do that the other, because I thoroughly enjoyed this episode. I thought Dennis Hopper was great.
Oh, he was fantastic.
And
I'd
I'm not
even
just saying
say
that because it's Dennis Hopper, but I mean, so was I guess Ludwig Donath. Is that the
Yeah.
Prince guy? Yeah, he was really good. Everybody was really good, honestly. So
I would add too the way that they shoot it, like it kind of plays with shadow the same way that something like Eye of the Beholder did. And
Dutch
obviously,
angle, too.
yeah, oh, absolutely. I don't think there was ever much doubt. Like from the moment you heard the voice of the shadow, you kind of had to know that it was going to be Hitler or something Hitler adjacent.
Well, didn't he say it last week? Didn't Rod
He might
Serling
have.
say that?
He may have said something about like what's his face? Pete being kind of Hitler-esque, but if you notice when the first time we see the shadowed Adolf Hitler, he actually appears slightly into the light. You can see his mustache. So it's like unless you have like a 12-inch TV back in the day, you can kind of notice that it's him. And like who else could it have been? Could it this it's basically you could tell just from the clothing that they're very much inspired by Hitler and definitely not Stalin or Mussolini or anything like that. So
Well, we
But
do
you
have to
could
take
even
into consideration how it would have looked back then. We are watching this in the highest possible definition that we can get it in. And back then it may have been, on a CRT TV that's, like you said, 12 inches. Maybe that shadow was a bit more shrouded and you didn't see that mustache.
yeah, that's what I was insinuating. It's like you can I mean back in the day, I'm sure they're like, oh my God, it's Hitler. Oh my God, what did I just watch?
But
It's
I don't
so
think
crazy.
I don't know.
even by looking, like you wouldn't have even needed the outline. I think that you could have just being what they were spouting as rhetoric. I don't think it was that hard of a reach to say, okay, that's
Yeah.
clearly Hitler.
Especially after a
Or
couple of
Yeah.
scenes of this guy
Yeah.
showing up. Like the first scene, I could see, okay, maybe not totally getting it. But after, especially some of the things he flat out said, you're like, yeah, that's Hitler. How is it Hitler? I don't know. I mean, I knew it was Hitler going into it. I don't know how. I thought maybe they said it at the end of last episode, or maybe
They
I
may
read
have.
it somewhere. I don't know. But yeah, I think I actually looked forward, and last
I
week
mean, the
when we were
thing
looking
is,
at it,
he's
says,
alive, so you hear the
yeah.
voice, you see the rhetoric.
After like one or two visits from this guy, it's like definitely like, oh yeah, that's Hitler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Already knows it.
And I got to throw out there Paul Mazursky, Kurt Conway are in this episode. Paul Mazursky. Kurt Conway, of course, plays Adolf Hitler. Paul Mazursky plays one of the neo-Nazi kids. I think he plays Frank, is what it says. So it's for these are individuals that if you know them, you may not know them offhand, but they have been they're
You know them
well-known
by face.
actors.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I think Paul Mazursky's still alive, actually, if I remember right. Oh, no, he died. He died in 2014. Never mind.
2014.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, Paul Mazursky actually directed Moscow on the Hudson. So
Oh, nice.
if you know that film, yeah, and Bob and Carol and Ted and Alice, and he's in a lot of stuff. But yeah, like I said, it has a pretty decent cast in it. Howard Kane was also in this. So
He was in Kung Fu
but
Panda 2 as well.
yeah, right.
Musician buddy.
Howard Kane is also a pretty well-known actor as well. So but yeah, like I said, it has a good cast. Everybody does a pretty good job in it. I think Dennis Hopper, you can see the early markings of how good he would become as an actor. Like Blue Velvet and
Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2.
Texas
Easy
Chainsaw,
Rider.
yeah, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, Easy Rider, which he directed on like cocaine and all that.
Get ready for
And,
baby.
Oh, Space Truckers.
Yeah.
Oh, Space Truckers.
Of course.
That
Magnum
that
opus.
one episode where he is in Entourage that I watched just recently.
Nice.
So yeah. But yeah. That's he's also in a lot of westerns. Go figure. You know, surprisingly enough. He was in Elvis Presley movie. He was in Sam Peckinpah movie. So there you go.
Space Trucker, so that's all you need.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, nothing else matters. Space Truckers
Nope.
and yeah, nothing else. Not even Blue Velvet, just Space
Nope.
Truckers.
Yep.
It was his lifelong dream to work with Stephen Dorff
Right.
Wait a second. Was he also Koopa?
and Charlie.
In the-
Yes,
Yes,
He's
yes,
King
he
Koopa in
was.
the original Super Mario Brothers
Yeah,
movie. He had King
Ca-
Koopa cornrows.
Yes.
right. What about Flashback? Flashback
No.
with Kiefer.
Nope.
What?
Not
What's wrong
as
with
cool.
Flashback?
Nothing. It's
Not
just
as
not as cool
He's
as
in Speed.
Koopa and
He's in
Space
Speed.
Truckers. Yeah.
He was in Waterworld. I mean, he had
He
the
was.
nice
He's the
eye
Smokers.
patch.
He was the leader of the Smokers.
Yeah,
The
with
Smokes.
Jack Black. Hey,
Yeah.
wait. So this is how we connect. So
We're doing
Dennis
7
Hopper played
degrees
King
here.
Koopa. Yeah, Dennis Hopper played King Koopa, who was in Waterworld with Jack Black, who plays King Koopa.
Oh
Wow, it all
my
comes back around.
God.
Oh my god, terrible, right? I know, I love it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's cool.
good
He only
Proud of
got
you,
one
man.
Oscar nomination for.
Space
Well, didn't
Truckers?
he? Oh, he got the Space Trucker. No, he's one nominated
Charles
for.
dances in Space Truckers. He has a mechanical
Nice.
penis.
Oh, that's right. Oh my God.
So Space Truckers is directed by the what's that name of that movie? Reanimator guy.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, it is
Stu
actually.
Gordon.
Yeah,
Okay, so let's get into like this episode. Good,
This one.
bad, maybe. Wilford Brimley. On a scale for Wilford Brimley's mustache to Dennis Hopper's Space Truckers, where would we put this episode?
Is this The Thing, Wilford Brimley, or Battle for Endor, Wilford Brimley?
I didn't know it mattered. He always has a sexy mustache. What are you talking about? Just because he got gray in like a
He doesn't have a
5-year
mustache in The
period?
Thing. Thank you very much, sir.
Yes, he does.
No, he does
Doesn't he?
not. Look it up.
Hold on.
Look up
I
Wilford
will.
Brimley in The Thing. No mustache. He
Actually,
didn't have diabetes at that
Triv,
point.
why you tell us? While I look this up, tell us where Pace Magazine, all that stuff.
Oh, hang on. I gotta.
Why is it
pull
when
that
I look up the TH, it doesn't bring up the thing? It just brings up other stuff like the bear. I
up.
don't get it.
So Pace Magazine has this at 80, and IMDb has it at 71.
Wait, where does IMDb have it?
71.
So basically, like right in the middle.
Basically, yeah. And their big thing was the fact that, you know, the
Their
big
big thing.
reveal really wasn't a big reveal.
Yeah.
It was kind
Agreed.
of overplayed, like not overplayed, but very like, what is the term? Like, it's very heavy-handed in the way that it approaches this. A lot of the reviews that I looked at too on IMDb, kind of the ones that were negative, kind of said that, you know, remember that this is a piece of entertainment. It's not written for the 2020s. But I think it's one of those things where you could see it as a timely thing, because a lot of Twilight Zone is very timely. So it's kind of a weird argument to make.
So wait, I gotta ask this question. So they're saying that this is not an episode built for the 2020s. Do they not remember what happened
They're
in 2020?
they're trying to say that basically, remember that this wasn't written for a specific time and place. It's a work of fiction. Basically, they're trying to just say,
everything.
repeat to yourself, it's just a show, you should really just relax, basically. Which in this case, but the thing is with Twilight Zone, all of the stuff is like there's 1 or 2 episodes that aren't timely, but most of them that have these kind of messages you could relate to damn near any point in history, and this one is quite timely to this time and place.
Especially with the closing narration.
Yes,
The closing
absolutely.
narration really puts a cap on it and says, you know, hey,
Yeah,
this
so
story
it's
was
sad.
about Hitler and racism and all that, but really this hate monster is everywhere and all.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where's it going next?
Yeah.
Is it in your town?
Yeah. So at some point at some point in the Twilight Zone Fifth Dimension podcast, we got to pinpoint when Wilford Brimley got his mustache. Because I always thought he had a mustache in fucking The Thing. I'm so wrong on that. I feel bad. What's wrong with
You
me?
looks
should
odd,
feel
doesn't
bad.
Yeah, we got to pinpoint when he got his mustache. But no, Jacob, since you're talking about the closing narration, let's just get that out of the way.
Hang on, let me close out all this Wilford Brimley stuff.
He's got too much diabetes on his
Diabetes.
screen.
No, I couldn't remember how he died, and I was gonna look and see if it was from complications to diabetes. I wouldn't want to laugh, but I
It
probably
was too
would have.
much. It
It
was
was
too
not.
much talking about reverse mortgages.
Yeah. He had kidney infection. Um, where will he go next? This phantom from another time, this resurrected ghost of a previous nightmare. Chicago, Los Angeles, Miami, Florida, Venice, Indiana. I think I said that wrong. Syracuse, New York. Any place, every place where there's hate, where there's prejudice, where there's bigotry. He's alive. He's alive so long as these evils exist. Remember that when he comes to your town, remember it when you hear his voice speaking out through others. Remember it when you hear a name called, a minority attacked, any blind, unreasoning assault on a people or any human being. He's alive because they're these things. We keep him alive.
No, in the Twilight Zone.
Yep.
He did that in the beginning.
Yeah, he didn't need it twice. He's like,
Nope.
fuck it. We're not doing it live. So the real question is, you said Chicago and Los Angeles. Do you not know where? Do you think people didn't know where Miami or Vincennes or Syracuse were?
I guess not.
But it might have been a cadence thing too.
Los Angeles, Miami, Florida.
It'd be ironic. He should have said a different part of Florida. I don't think Miami. Miami's very not of this type. I don't know, maybe back in the 60s it was. I don't know. Anyways, so that is He's Alive, the Dennis Hopper episode directed by Stuart Rosenberg, not starring Wilford Brimley, sadly.
Nope.
So
It's alive. It's alive.
R.I.P.
It's alive.
exactly. So with that said, let's do the last thing of this podcast, the thing we always like to do because we are ranking horrors, and that is the Twilight Zone ranking list, the greatest ranking list ever known by man. I think this is higher than 32.
Yeah. Are we looking at are we in the chat? Oh no. I dropped a link in the chat, by the way.
Yeah, I
Yay.
didn't pull it up because I was worried that it was gonna like show up and mess up the podcast. So
I was gonna say it probably
problem.
crashed my computer fight, not because of the link, but because I'm already running enough stuff.
Oh, it's super live. It's
So-
lo-fi.
so what we're clearly saying, Jacob, is we don't look at your stuff.
I know,
We
right?
just
Fuck your origin. I made that on my
no,
compact PC back in 1998.
Yeah, I'll take a look at it before. Okay, so I mean, Triv, Jacob. I know Jacob, you would say yes, I agree because you're a whore for pushing down Per Chance to Dream. But Triv, what about you?
I'm gonna say 33.
Okay, I can get behind that. I can get behind that.
Oh no. No, brother.
No, you're like that segment in Family Guy where he says, "Oh yeah," comes breaking through, and they're like, "What the hell are you doing?" He just backs away out the same wall he crashed into.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Bust through the wall. Nazis.
I think this
Nazis.
thing.
Go
I
ahead.
think this one hit on a lot of levels. I don't.
Did it slap? That's what they say nowadays. It's slap.
Yeah. It wasn't mid. It was more bussin'. But
Bussin'.
Yeah, I think Slap's like old
Bust
now,
it.
Jacob.
I mean, bussin' was old too, but apparently it came back.
Yeah.
One of my 9-year-old's friends said it the other day. Man, that was bussin'. So what? It sounds like, is it 1987?
Apparently.
Bust it.
Wait till they start watching Breaking Two of Electric Boogaloo.
And it's kind of like when Dog came back, like the early 2000s. I was like at work, and all these people was like walking around going like, "Yeah, Dog." I was like, "What?
It's a note from me, dog.
Is it back? It's
You-
back. Are we doing
you-
that again?" It's all
You
coming
just
full
want
circle.
You want Jinko jeans to come back is what you want.
Oh no, I never wore those. I had friends that did though.
No.
They'd be standing there and they
Or
were so
painter
big
pants.
and hit the ground. It looked like they were planted like a tree to the fucking ground.
Yeah,
Had
the only
friends.
person that brought those back was Oliver Tree, the singer. I mean,
gotta
what
have, like,
about
the
what about Painter
chain
Pants?
That goes to
Yeah.
your wallet and all that. Yeah, never did that either.
Nope, same.
I knew people though. I knew some
Painter
people.
Pants.
Yeah.
Painter pants, like cargo
Cargo
pants?
pants.
No,
Or-
Painter Pants. So they had the little
The
hook
loops
on the side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
You
yeah.
had
yeah.
it, yeah.
Carpenter pants, carpenter jeans.
No, I
painter
still
pants.
wear. Fuck it, I still wear cargo pants. Fuck that. I like
They
cargo
never go out of-
jeans.
They never go out of style. So many pockets.
Not for 42. Not for a 41-year-old man. They don't. So many pockets.
Yeah.
No. Where are we putting this? So
I'll tell you where I'm putting
is
it.
this better? Is this better than the dummy?
I don't.
Uh,
I feel like the dummy had
yes.
more. Really?
I think so. What number is the dummy?
30, 31 right now.
No,
I think so. I think the dummy had a lot of potential, and I like what the dummy was selling. But this hit, I thought this was just my opinion. I thought it was
No,
better
understood.
quality than the dummy.
What was People Are Like All Over? Is that the one?
I think we
that's
had that
the
every
one
time
with
that
the
comes up.
end. Roddy McDowell.
Ah, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Where they're in the moon. No,
No, well, when he goes to the planet, he becomes like an attraction.
Right, right.
yeah, was that the moon? Or was that Mars?
That was Mars, I
Where they
think.
crash? Yeah, yeah, yeah. It
Yeah.
wasn't an asteroid with its own atmosphere.
I feel like this was better
We
than
need one of
that,
those.
but I don't I don't know how to feel about like this one was very good, but I don't know how to feel about it in context of like we're getting up into an area where like it's the really, really good ones, and I don't know.
Is this better than the In His Image?
Which
Well,
one was
no,
that?
it's definitely above Per Chance to Dream, I'd say. Like it's got a lot of message and it's a solid message. I'm torn because it is timely. It's got a lot of good stuff. It doesn't. It is higher, I think. I just don't know where you'd put it.
Was it better than the
Crib,
grave?
on a spectrum of Jacobs wanting to get 32 down for
No, I
Chance to
think it's
Dream
better
to
than
Wilford
I
Brimley's
think.
beard or
I
mustache, where do you rank it?
uh, uh Gwen Stefani's ass.
Hmm. Do you think it's better than Nick of Time?
For me, Nick of Time for me is classic. This is okay. So here's the thing: if you look at this as an episode with a
Oh
message,
wait,
in theory,
this is
it
like
should go very, very high because of that. And as
No, I
much
mean
as I
just like
don't,
pure
as mu-
entertainment.
right, as much
there's a lot of
I
episodes
can't
with
say that
like
I would.
messages that
Right. I
that
can't say that I
suck.
would watch this again outside of running across it as an hour episode. It's a strong, powerful message, but it's not one that I would sit down and watch out of pure enjoyment.
Yeah. Oh no, there's a few of them like that like I think were great episodes. I think they had good messages or whatever. I thought it was a great episode, but I'm not gonna watch it again. I take that into consideration when ranking. It's like, would I watch this again? But also just like the experience I had while watching it.
And I guess I've seen this one enough times where like it does hit and watching it again, you're kind of hit with
Slaps.
that holy bloody hell. It's a timely thing. You could Someone could make this today and it would be something that you would
Oh
go holy
God.
shit. It
Please
hits you
don't
where you
though.
live. No, absolutely
Jesus, if
not.
they made this today, there'd be so many
I mean, they were talking about how much hate mail that they got because of this episode. And I went looking for like what kind of hate mail it was, and I couldn't find like a exact kind of like if it was from people that like were, white supremacist type folks, or if it was just decency type folks, or folks going, well, how dare you, bring up this thing so close to when the war came out. I don't know, but it was a very controversial episode, at least from a hate mail perspective for the time.
Do you think
Isn't
it
it
So
amazing? Isn't it amazing when we focus on the actual problems is when people get like truly outraged. Like focus on the actual issues at hand. It
well,
makes me
and not
laugh.
knowing like what kind of thing that was driving the hate mail. I mean, it's hard to say like if it was something that was that was justified, or if it was something that was
Trev,
just out of left field.
you know for a simple fact that people were very uncomfortable by this episode. They're like,
Well,
I
of
don't
course, but I would like to
know.
know, I would like to have the knowledge of, okay, was it some asshole out of, bumfuck nowhere that's like, well, my great great grandpa was a, great or grand wizard of the Ku Klux Klan and fuck you and all the rest of that stuff? Or was it someone that was like, look, my dad died in, fighting Nazis, and how dare you make light of this thing? Because I know like Monty Python did this whole thing with not with
Yeah.
Hitler, like showing up in a small town in England, and I mean he took the piss out of the whole thing, and that wasn't that long after that. And this is maybe 8 or 9 years after that. Now regarded 8 9 years is still 8 9 years, but like and I know this doesn't pertain so much back to the actual ranking of where this goes, but I don't know how to rank this one, I guess is what I'm coming back to.
do you think it was better than the
Um,
grave?
Grave was the one where the guy like put his knife down and he
Yeah.
basically died from fright or whatever.
Yeah.
So
I don't think it was. I think this is probably just right above Perchance a Dream, to be honest.
I'll take
Like
it.
I mean,
I guess
One for the
what
Angels
I
did have Jacob losing his shoes, so
I mean
or
what,
no,
what I
that
would
was not it.
that was what you need.
Yeah, what you need, yeah.
What I would say for this is like a lot of the message ones that strike us where we live traditionally would go up in the top 10 or 15. But I don't know that this one I would agree. I
I'm
think
looking
this
at it
one is
from
more
just
of
a
a
story. Like I think it has a great message, but it's like is it better than A World of His Own? Is it better than The Grave? Is it better than Once Upon a Time?
no, I wouldn't
Like
say.
I generally think those are better episodes, but I don't know.
Do you think it was better than The Howling Man?
Where's Howling Man?
It doesn't matter where it is,
26.
Triv.
A
You think it's
25.
better or not?
The message, I think the message is more subtle. Subtlety between these two episodes is not something that exists really, but of the two, I think this one is probably more subtle than Howling Man.
Well,
Plus, there was no
how could you
miniature.
say that Howling Man wasn't subtle?
They had a miniature crook that sat over the door holding Satan in.
Okay, maybe.
I
I'm
mean,
cool.
I can
whole-
put it.
That whole area there, like low 30s, high 20s. I'm cool with that. I'm just surprised we're talking season 4 and we're here.
I
Right on.
told you that there was it was just like any other season. There are good episodes and there are crap episodes.
But they've
Triv,
all
you
been
did
good
not.
so
You
far.
lie, Triv.
It's true.
They've
Well,
all
we
been
haven't
good.
gotten a Jezebel yet, so
As bad as I've heard about season 4, and I expected there to be
Jacob's
some
gonna like Jezebel.
good
Watch
episodes.
Triv.
probably, yeah.
I expected there to be some good episodes in season 4, but I kind of figured it was going to be like, oh, here's a really good one, and then there's, like 3 bad ones, and they're just going to be really boring. So far, they're batting 100. I mean, season 4's been really good. Just saying. Just saying.
I mean, yeah. So like right below Nothing in the Dark, right above The Howling Man. Does that sound good?
Sure.
Yeah,
Yes, no, maybe. Like
yeah, that's fine.
Maybe.
till next week when we go, what was he thinking? That type of thing.
I don't think
No.
that this is that kind of
Say,
episode though.
which
Like there
one's
are
He's
some
Alive?
where we would go, yeah, what the hell? How did that get there? But I don't think that this is going to be one of those.
Triv, it's always one of those. It's always one of those.
Not this one.
All right. So with that said, I think that's a good spot, which is crazy because I thought none of these episodes would ever hit the top 20 or top 30. But here we are.
Oh,
He's
ye
alive.
of little faith.
Yeah.
I honestly
So
would
with
have at
that-
least one more of them down in this area already too, but whatever.
Yeah, we can move up Perchance to Dream up to like 10 if you want. It was at 10 at one point.
I
Oh,
didn't say anything about Perchance to Dream.
All right. So
You know how you get
anyways,
rid of Perchance to Dream?
never talk about it again.
The same way that Morgan Freeman said you get rid of racism and hate. Stop talking about it. Just stop talking about it.
No, you know how you get rid of Perchance to Dream? The same way as everything else.
Send it up into outer space.
No. Same as everything else. You know when a toad gets struck by lightning? Same as everybody else. Yeah.
You know what happens when you
Anyways.
get struck by lightning?
The
Same
same
thing.
as
That was so fucking corny. I thought that when I was watching that in theaters. I was like, what? Okay, whatever. The rest of the movie's been cool. Moving on. I'll give you a pass.
That was 2000 cinema for you right there.
Yeah, I can't give that a pass though. Anyways, with that said, so yeah, there you go. New number 25. He's alive. He's alive. He's alive.
It's alive. Weird
Uh,
science. Dun, dun. Mm-mm.
All right, so the next episode is I'm
Based
sorry,
on a
number
comic
1
book.
is Eye of the Beholder. Number 106 is Trouble in Templeton. Next episode
Number 87 is a piano in.
The house.
See, it's like a seed that was planted and now I can't get rid of it.
Nope.
Unless I point a gun at it
It's
and
like
shoot
a
it.
foot fungus shoved up your ass. It's never going away.
That is quite the thing I did not want to see. So, anyways, with that said, next episode is going to be season 4, episode 5. It's called Mute, directed by once again by Stuart Rosenberg, written by Richard Matheson. Stars Frank Overton, Barbara Baxley. We should have a guest on for this episode, but as always, things
Really?
may happen. Yeah, so
Ooh.
ooh. And that guest is, of course, Jacob's love for Perchance to Dream. That's the guest. So
Ooh.
no, we should have a returning guest for that. So, anyways, we'll see. Like I said, I don't want to. Bill Irwin's in this episode too.
Is Bill
So,
Irwin the guest?
yes, Bill Irwin's the guest. He's only been dead since
Yay.
2010. So, yeah, he was in Star Trek:
Well,
The
they
Next
can
Generation.
bring back Hitler. They can bring back that guy.
All right. So, with that said, we're gonna head out for now. Jacob, Triv, awesome. I have to go to work. Jim and Jacob gotta go to sleep. Triv,
What?
content located where?
The place with the U's and the tubes and the other stuff. No, you can find me here in Trivial Theater, here on YouTube. I do random movie reviews and stuff. I just put out last week Jesus Christ Vampire Hunter, a little bit of Jesus.
Jesus.
Up next is, hopefully by the time this drops, I should have another one up called, it's a collab on The Hottie or the Naughty, which is a god-awful movie, but neither here nor there. So stop by, say hi. Yeah, that's about it.
Good Lord, I can't believe
Nothing
you
of
got forced to
note.
watch that movie.
I did, actually, yeah. Oof.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. I have to
Bill
edit that
Irwin was.
shit.
I know. Good luck with that. Bill Irwin was the old man in the airport in Home Alone. That what's her face? He's the conductor in the Final Insult, Naked Gun 30, and a third.
Cool.
So,
Oh, I've got that on
Yeah.
the CDI.
oh God. Jacob, now that you are a thousandaire on your channel,
Oh,
you
big
can
boy.
now promote that with
Oh,
good
big boy
faith,
now.
or he's a big boy. Where's that content at?
It's on YouTube at Retro Jexy. Retro JXY YouTube channel where I talk video games and other nonsense. Do story of history videos, which I have one coming. Hopefully by the time this video comes out, it'll be coming that week at the end of the week. I'm hoping. I'm thinking. I'm feeling pretty good about it.
Hoping and
I'm getting a
praying.
haircut tomorrow so I can shoot the video segments that I'm in. The voiceover's done. I'm putting the graphics together. Just gotta put my little videos
like-
in there.
The video, the character, the videos you're in. Like, who else is in your videos?
I mean the parts
Come
of
on,
the video
Jake.
that's not voiceover, that
Just
I
he,
mean,
himself, and him.
Oh,
the video
Yeah,
portion.
he, himself,
the
and I.
recorded portions.
It's like,
Yeah,
what
I
are you not
record
telling
those-
us, Jacob?
I usually record all those in one day. So yeah, that's coming. It's a long one. It's a big
That's
one.
That's what
You're
she
gonna
said.
like it.
Girthy.
Big and girthy. So yeah, it's coming soon. There is one thing possibly that could trip me up, a technical difficulty I'm dealing with. I'm working on working that out. If that gets worked out, then yeah, I think that end of that week it should be done, completed out. If not, shouldn't be too much longer. Just gotta figure out this one little stupid technical issue that does actually tie into the video, the subjects of the video. It's kind of funny, but it's not.
And
Anyway,
that is showing him his wang.
no, that is the particular thing that I'm talking about in this video broke. And it's
Oh.
funny because part of the video is about how it's kind of a cheap piece of crap and they break. And mine broke for no fucking reason. Just said, fuck you.
It doesn't want to be
And
covered.
that is that Tecmo Bowl on the little device, the little handheld. It just broke.
My Tiger Electronics.
Yeah, Tecmo Bowl.
Hell of a thing.
Yeah.
Exactly. All right. So
Hey,
yeah, look forward.
Blue light special.
Exactly. So yeah, look forward to those. I'm doing Master of the Air right now. It's pretty much the only thing I'm doing. I don't know when this review posts, if I'll have, I think Dune 2 review. I think I'm going to do one for that. We'll see.
You do Madam Web?
I'm working.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, new Madam Web that I clearly will see in some form or fashion when I blow my brains out. Yeah. So there you go. But once again, that's it. That's He's Alive. That's our podcast. And we're gonna head out. And for myself, Jacob, and Triv, we'll see you guys next time in the Twilight Zone. Peace out, motherfucker. Don't make me start singing Who Wants to Live Forever. Who wants to
Josh!
live forever?
Oh, good lord.
Forever.